Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Mentium Matters podcast, where we talk about leadership, life, and the transformative power of mentoring. This is Solveig Brown, and today my guest is CurVie Burton. CurVie is the founder and CEO of The Road Before You, LLC, a coaching and consulting firm that specializes in assisting business leaders and teams move to higher levels of performance and effectiveness. CurVie spent many years in the IT industry and has had leadership positions at General Motors, Electronic Data Systems, and Hewlett Packard. CurVie was awarded Hewlett Packard's Black Employee Network's Legacy Award in 2018 for his commitment to driving academic excellence and 21st century leadership skills in youth of African ancestry. CurVie is a founding member and past chairman of the Information Technology Senior Management Forum, ITSMF. At ITSMF, he was instrumental in developing programs to help middle and senior managers compete at the highest corporate levels. CurVie has been a mentor for Mentium for over 20 years. Welcome, CurVie. I am so glad to have you as a guest today.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Solveig. I'm glad to be here. It's exciting to be in the land of those who are breathing. So I'm happy.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that. CurVie, you have had such an interesting story. Can you tell me some of the highlights of how you got to where you are today and some of the memorable lessons you've learned along the way?
Wow. Well, I don't know if I can remember all of the significant highlights, but one of the things I'll just start off with just saying I consider myself a bridge builder, right? I help people, individuals, and organizations get from where they are to where they want to be. And I haven't always been there. I would say today I am really comfortable in my skin. And even though I've had, ups and downs and twists and turns, I found myself over time just being a giver. So, I started off as a technical person. I was a computer programmer, a systems engineer early in my career, and I was having lots of fun, and that was kind of easy for me. It really was, and I'll go all the way back to when I was in high school at Whirlpool Corporation. They let some of us high schoolers come and do computer programming. So I got really familiar with Fortran and got really good at it. When I went to college, I wasn't a computer major. I was a math major, but I ended up, because I was helping individuals with their computer programs and things like that, I ended up switching my major to computer science. So that was early in my career. So early on, I was a techie. I had just one major project I had for General Motors that just was fascinating for me, and that was the Buick Assembly complex. I led all of the development of all the systems that were integrated that would literally, you could bring raw material in one end of an assembly plant and drive finished cars out the other end. And the complexity of that project was enormous, but me and the team that was assembled was just phenomenal in just and helping make all of the things happen from a systems integration standpoint. So that's the kind of fun I was having early in my career. Wasn't so concerned or even thought about mentoring and coaching and those kind of things. I moved from being an individual contributor doing technical things to leadership, and account leadership was where I started to getting into having to work with other people. I was like, it's easy working with machines. it's a lot more difficult working with people. But I'll say over time, I've realized I have a passion for that. So going from individual contributor to team leader, supervisor, manager, director, and then corporate leader was kind of the path that I've taken, and lots of stories, and I'll probably talk about some of those as you ask me additional questions. But today, I run my own company. I like to say and think that I'm in my sweet spot, but um, I I love working with individuals, both as mentor and coach, to help others just reach their full potential. I think that's my purpose, is to help those individuals and the teams work to maximize their potential.
Yeah, and mentoring is something that you are so passionate about. You've been a mentor for over 20 years. Can you talk about that shift and how you became such a passionate mentor, such a great person with helping other people along their path?
Well, I think it starts with, um, you know, I, I'm chuckling because I learned there's a difference between formal and informal mentoring, right? I learned this a lot of years ago, and uh, but I didn't think about mentoring as something that was there. I remember having a leader who was helped me early in my career with little things like how to organize a memo. That's, I'm a technical guy, but as a team leader, you had to do status reports and you had to do reporting on what was going on. And she helped me tweak, wordsmith, do things like that. And I started paying attention to that kind of detail. And I never thought about that as mentoring, but that's what she was doing. She was literally helping me grow. So
Hmm.
that's an example, formal and informal. The first formal mentoring program that I participated in was a disaster. I'll
Oh,
tell you, me and my mentor just, it was a formal mentoring program. It was supposed to last a year. I think we met twice. I didn't know what to expect. And I don't know if that individual who was a senior leader knew what they were supposed to do, but we did not even connect. Lesson from that was, you know, in mentoring, the mentee has to also be kind of proactive, be aggressive, to do and lay out and reach for your mentor. Your mentor has agreed to do it. Let's, I'm trying to think of the right word to say. Engage them. So the first mentoring experience was not positive, and I was committed at that point to never let that kind of thing happen again, either for me or for anyone else. So since then, I've just been, I had passion around helping others, and I knew what the difference between formal and informal mentoring is. Informal, of course, is, you can ask anyone to be a mentor. I remember the movie Aquila and the Bee, and they say she had 50,000 coaches. Well, we have 50,000 mentors if we just reach out and ask someone to help us. And for me, mentoring is, I've been there, done that. I've got the T-shirt, and I can help you with, by passing on success. That's what mentors do. Pass on to their mentees the things that they've learned that have helped them be successful, and that potentially will help that mentee also in their career journey.
right. Well, I really appreciate that you used your own experience of not having a positive first experience with mentoring to make sure that doesn't happen for anyone else. So you have been an advisor of developing mentoring programs that focus on helping women and people of color successfully navigate corporate waters. You're a past chairman and founding member of the ITSMF forum, whose mission is to increase representation of Black professionals at senior levels in technology and to impact organizational innovation and growth. So, can you give me some examples of how mentoring has impacted some of the people that you've worked with or some of the people that have gone through the programs that you've been part of?
um, uh, I chuckle again because just recently I've met my very first Mentium mentee. Oh, by the way, she is a C-level executive today, right?
All right.
And
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
and I'm just like blown away. And what she told me, she said, you were the best mentoring experience I ever had. I had no idea. I didn't know what she was talking about. I said, why is that? And she said, because I look for someone who is different than me. And I looked for someone who would help me grow and help me expand. And so here she was, white female, in a technology company, signing up with a African American mentor, who was a bit flipper, so to speak, and we she was helping her mom, and I had a family, so we had some real differences, but we hit it off. And lo and behold, she uses that as a testimony. I don't say I was blind to it, but for me, what I do is I pass on what I have to whoever it is I'm working with. So if I've got it, you get it. uh, I don't necessarily pass it on that way. It's always connecting the individual with where they are. So if I can reach them where they are and then help them with where they want to be, then we're on the right track. I started. I was thinking about this. I started two um, formal mentoring programs. One was with the Black professionals at EDS, the company that I work for. The other was in ITSMF, which we talked about. Mentoring was one of the cornerstones of ITSMF that we put in place 25 years ago. And we can talk about that story all day long, but formal mentoring is still a big thing within that organization with their academies and what they do in those programs. It was Unity and Action, the African American group at EDS. We were essentially wanting to help each other be successful. So we started formal mentoring there, and formal mentoring was 1 year or 10-month program that we matched a mentee with a mentor and helped them walk the path. Same as Mentium. And so, when I think about being a mentor in Mentium for 20 years, it's like, it doesn't feel like 20 years. I can see the faces and the people that I've worked with. I think most of them were successful. Some, just were, we hit it out of the park, like in the case of the C-level exec that I talked about. Others, it was just kind of ho-hum. But I think the differentiator from my perspective is how much the mentee puts into the program. The more they put in it, the more they look to get out of it, the more they get out of it. And without question, I gain from every relationship, every match that I've ever had.
Right. I love your story of your first mentee because it's something that our CEO, Lynn Sontag, always talks about. She always says mentoring happens at the difference. And that was such a good example of how you two had different perspectives on the world and created this really strong partnership that was really influential in her whole career and development. You have also given a lot back to your community. You have been recognized by Hewlett Packard Enterprise, which awarded you the Black Employee Network's Legacy Award in 2018 for your commitment to driving academic excellence in 21st century leadership skills in youth of African ancestry. This is a huge honor. Can you tell me more about this work and the impact it has had and what made you decide to start this program?
You know, um, I actually remember the year that I got involved with. It started with ITSMF, and at ITSMF, our mission was to fill the pipeline with African Americans moving into senior management in IT. And so if and my picture was a pyramid of, lots of people kind of bunched at the bottom of the pyramid and just a few execs, toward the top. You just think about the pyramid model. And I use the pyramid model a lot. But running down through that pyramid, I had in my mind this pipeline, and people, individuals were moving from one tier to the next by going up through the pipeline. So filling the pipeline of people, upwardly mobile people moving into leadership and IT is what we're all about. That was the model, and that's still kind of the model we talk about today. And so reaching down with new employees, entry-level employees, and helping them, kind of know the lay of the land. For me, people of color, in a lot of instances, especially 25 years ago, were the first in their families who had participated in the corporate office, in business, in a lot of cases. So we all needed help. We all needed help. And one story I'll tell you is being a leader in a company, you get to sit in the room as we talk about who are the high potential and who's up and coming, and who needs this and who needs that, and that kind of thing. And in doing so, we get to talk about individuals, and it's easy for someone to say, I like Jane. She is a top performer. I think she should be the next one to be promoted. But when they say, but Joe, he's got some rough edges. It looks like this, and it would be great if he would do A, B, and C. I asked a leader one time, I said, did you give him that feedback? Does he know that these are some of the things that he could work on to be better? And the guy looked at me like I was cross-eyed, but I was serious. And I said, well, do you mind if I pass that on to him? And he said, be my guest. And I did. I talked to the individual, and we ended up, and now that I think about it, probably in a mentoring relationship, because he used to come back to my office to talk about, how am I doing? This is what I did, and that kind of thing. But for me, to hold back information it doesn't do us what justice as organizations, as leaders, and it doesn't help our people at all. So that's part of what I felt, and what I feel in me is, if I've got it, I'm going to pass it on, and I encourage other leaders to do the same, and I encourage the individual, the coachees and the mentees, go seek that knowledge, be a learner, be someone who is not afraid to walk the hallways and ask for assistance, because I found this out from some of my peer mentors who are leaders. They said, you won't, if you don't ask, you won't get it. They can always say no, but you may get a yes. And in a lot of cases, when it comes to seeking mentors, if you ask, you'll be surprised sometimes as to what you'll get.
Yeah, that is such an interesting example, because also people don't always know what they don't know. And so you're like, first of all, you have to be transparent and tell people, okay, these are things that you may be in your blind spot, but here are some things. And then also I've throughout this interview, you've talked about taking your own matters into your own hands and asking the questions, and keeping saying, what can I do better, or give me some advice on that. So,
Let
oh
me
yeah.
add something to the story about forming. I don't know if we've talked yet about the HP example, but I'm going to go back to the creation of the African American Employee Network.
Mm-hmm.
With that mindset, my mindset of helping others in the pipeline. One of the things that I realized in first generation folks in business is a lot of times we're not comfortable. We don't know why we're not comfortable. It's unfamiliar territory. So forming an organization to help people be more successful is what we're trying to do. Not to be radical in the business world, but to be able to give our best selves, bring our best selves to work, perform at our best, and then help people understand that when you're performing at your best, you're delivering value. It's okay to ask for assistance, ask for help, ask for money, ask for the things that you know that you're deserving of if you're delivering value. So helping each other understand what value is what we were trying to do. And that's what we're encouraging folks to do. And that's why we started the mentoring program at EDS. It was some years ago, but that was pretty significant for me and for the others who were involved in that process, in that program.
Yeah, that is a great story of offering support and creating something to help others. And it seems like so much of your career you have been doing that. In your consulting firm, The Road Before You, you help individuals and teams and corporations achieve their full potential. You have developed a four-step process to help people envision, plan, execute, and adjust in order to be successful. And you've become, an expert in this area. So can you tell me more about these four steps and how someone would go about using them in their personal and professional life?
Yeah. Um, well, it's so I have a collection. I'll call them tools. The tools, methods, processes. Every coach, I think, does things that they do when a client or a mentee gets stuck. How do you help them? One of the things that I created. I remember the year I did it. It was 2008. I was thinking about all the work that I had done in the corporate space, but I had not brought that work home, so to speak. And I was thinking about my legacy. And at that point in time, I had three sons. And how do I help them with things that I've learned, things that I know? And I packaged together what I labeled back then as goal setting for dummies, right? It literally was in business. We talk about the as is, we talk about the to be, and then we kind of bridge and map out how to get from where the as is to the to be, and that's a coaching model. And I took that model, simplified it, and created what was goal setting for dummies, what is now the road to prosperity. And the road to prosperity is anchored in um, something as simple as we have characteristics within us that are always in play, and I call it the six dimensions of life. The six dimensions, we. I ask my clients, I ask anyone using that model to just talk about where you are in each of these six dimensions. And example would be meaningful work, financial independence are two of the dimensions. And I say that they're always in play all the time. Talk about where you are, and then let's talk about where you want to be. Where do you want to be using the same dimensions? And go out, because a lot of times when people are stuck, they're stuck and they don't know it. They don't know what to do. And I said, so let's go out far enough where we don't have to worry about being stuck. If we go 5 years, 10 years out, and let's talk about where do you want to be out there? Uh, and so we do a little vision creation. So that's one of the components, vision creation. And we create where do you want to be? And now let's talk about whether you want to call it the bridge or the roadmap to get from where you are to that spot. And we can chunk it up into years or months or whatever makes sense, given what we're doing and how stuck you are. But that's one of the tools that I use with my, and I'm a coach, but I treat my mentees just like one of my coaching clients. I've kind of evolved there, so because of my learning. But you get on the road, and let's pave the path. I don't necessarily want to do it for them. I want them to do it. And so I I say mentoring is, I've been there, done that. I've got the t-shirt, and many times our mentees expect us to kind of give them the answer. I learned early with my three sons is you don't give them the answer, you give them the choices and let them choose, right? That helps, and that's what we do in um, in coaching, we usually try to let our coachee fill in the blank. You know, it's your decision. You got to live with it, but I can help you with that. So the road to prosperity is one tool. I have a leadership model that I've developed. I call it the leadership pyramid. It starts at, you know, if you're entry level, here's some things that you must do to be a good leader. And as you mature, you know, here's some other things you want to consider. None of them ever go away. You just get better at things like, example would be self-awareness. You know, no leader, it doesn't have self-awareness. So you've got to have that. So self-awareness, then self-management. They go hand in glove. You're self-aware, now manage self to do simple things like show up on time, do what you say you're going to do, those kind of things. The other component that's most of us know about, but it doesn't necessarily come into play in everyday life is beliefs and values. Your core beliefs and values really set the tone for who you are, what you do, and how you show up. So, what do we do with that? It's like, well, the road that you've laid out to get you from where you are to where you want to be should align to your core values. You know, if you are trying to do something that's different than who you are, you're never going to get there. Or if you're going to get there and you're not going to be happy. So understand who you are, again, self-awareness, self-management, and then apply that to whatever it is you're trying to do.
Yeah, those are such good reminders of kind of the importance of being aligned with your values, and then having the tools to figure out how to get from where you are to where you want to go, and then the support to help you execute those plans and then adjust as needed. In one of your interviews, I've heard you use the term rhythms to talk about work-life balance or work-life integration. That's an issue a lot of people struggle with. So can you describe what you mean by rhythms and how you recognize what your rhythms are in work and life?
The It's very very often that a mentee will ask about work-life balance because they're feeling stress on the job, they're feeling stress at home, they you know, for whatever circumstances, they're feeling stressed and they're feeling like they're out of balance. And I learned this. I grabbed this from, believe it or not, from my pastor in a sermon he did, and he said we need to know and we should know the season that we're in, the season of life that we're in. That becomes really really important. And examples of season would be if you've taken on a new job, you got a new assignment. That means you're in a kind of a new season, right? You are a newlywed, new season. You're now, together. If you go back to school, you know, a new season. Why do I call them seasons? Because you have to make some adjustments from what you have been doing to what you are doing. So those are seasons. You the empty nester to retiree to whatever it is you're moving to, you're switching seasons. So know the season that you're in, and then find a rhythm for that season. Uh, Back to the example, if you're going back to school, you're working on your MBA, as an example, then that's going to take a lot of your time, a lot of your focus. You're going to adjust and take away from the other areas of your life in order to invest in that during that season. That season may last 1 or 2 years, but during that period, you've got to focus there. You've also got to have the things around you that support you. If you're in a significant relationship, your spouse, your partner, helping you in that space. So that's the season, and having a rhythm for the season is what you want to do. So it's not work-life balance. That's the magic answer. It depends on the season you're in, what you're trying to do and what your areas of focus. Now, if I go back to one of the other tools I talked about, these dimensions, 6 dimensions of life, you know, they're always in play. And so when you think about the season and the rhythm, you're adjusting, throttling back on one, throttling forward on another, so that you have the right rhythm to get you through successfully through that season. So that to me is that conversation that we have around work-life balance. And then we can talk about the season. We can unpack that to talk about priorities and that kind of thing.
That is a great analogy. I really like that framework of seasons and rhythms to think about those things and think about what is your priority for the whole season, not just each day or each week, but just in general.
Mhm.
So, Kirby, we have time for three final questions. The first of the last questions is, do you have habits that you feel have contributed to your success?
Oh, um, I'm glad we just talked about season because, looking, a term that I use a lot is I have rear view mirror vision, right? Looking backwards, I can look at all of the mistakes I made and things that I didn't do. One of the things I did learn is collect the nuggets from mistakes that made things that have happened. What did you learn from that? What were the nuggets? Leave the bad stuff behind, take the lessons and use them going forward. That's what I pack into these tools that I've been talking about. These are lessons. These are vehicles that are built on some of the things that I did or I heard someone else do, and I learned from it. So I've been a student of my community. My community is really really important. So when I start that off that way to say, when I think about routines, I was one who hated routines. You know, it's like someone's trying to control me or manage me. Um, Today, I have a routine. I, I wake up in the morning. I do my prayer, my meditation. I do my mindfulness. I get centered. I do my
Yeah.
workout, and I get in a place where I'm ready to start my day. So being centered is something I've learned, and I practice, and I'm a student of mental fitness. And so part of mental fitness is being able to literally go from the negative emotions you may be feeling to positive emotions, and having enough self-control and self-management and self-awareness to do that in a graceful way. So,
Oh,
um,
yeah. Thank you for sharing those routines and collecting nuggets. I really like that too, of letting all the other stuff go, but leaving the nugget of what you've learned. So, what would your advice be to up and coming leaders?
well, um, I've already talked about find mentors, and they're all over the place. Find mentors. If you are fortunate enough, and I use the term fortunate because everyone doesn't get into formal mentoring, like with a Mentium. Mentium is a great, great program. And I say that because I've been involved for over 20 plus years, so I believe in it, right? Find, if you can get in a formal program, do so. If you can't, find mentors. Ask people who you admire, who you think can help. Will you mentor me? Um, they're going to say, "What does that mean?" So think about what you want them to do, but ask. So that's one. The other thing that I wish I could have done, and I wish I would have had, was a coach.
Mm.
And I mean a professional coach. So find a professional coach. You don't have to be in there alone. Many times, as leaders, as executives, we got decisions we're pondering, we've got things that we're trying to do to be successful, and we're trying to do it all by ourselves. Find a coach, someone who can help that you can bounce things off, that will walk with you and partner with you. Uh, and I say find a professional coach because Pookie, your good buddy from high school, is not necessarily a good coach. So
Right. Oh, that is great advice. And then final question, do you have a favorite saying, quote, or motto?
oh my God, what that's I have a lot of them. I used to it hit me one time. Someone says, well, he doesn't have common sense, or she's got common sense, and then I heard someone say, well, common sense is not always common, and it's like, oh, that's true. Okay, that's I got that one. Learn from your mistakes. The nuggets we've already talked about. Don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. Those the golden rule: do unto
Yeah.
others as you want them to do unto you. One for leaders: just know that you can't promote yourself. You have to be sponsored up. You
Hmm.
can't promote yourself. You have to be sponsored up. That's another long story, but it just means remember that you're being seen in the organization. Someone's going to reach down and help you up. So understand that, and it's not about brown nosing. That used to be a term that I couldn't stand, but I didn't know why. But yeah, it's about building relationships and having a reputation for success. So you can't promote yourself, you have to be sponsored up. The last one that let me stop there. I'll stop there.
Okay. Well,
That's
those are
that's
all great quotes and mottos and kind of just philosophies to live by. So, CurVie, thank you so much for being my guest today. I really appreciate you sharing with us the lessons you've learned, your wisdom, your tips for success. You're a great example of someone that gives back through mentoring and creating community programs. And I just really appreciate all the insights you have offered us today. So, thank you so much. And thank you all for listening to this Mentium Matters podcast. We have many great guests lined up, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. For additional resources, you can find show notes on the Mentium website. I look forward to having you all back next time.